there everyone, my name is Josiah Lulham. I am an anthropologist and currently completing a PhD at the University of Melbourne studying live action role-playing game communities and the production of Immersion.
And I'm David Harris. I'm a lecturer at Swinburne University of Technology, and I'm also currently studying my PhD in how immersive theatre methodologies intersect with Larp design.
Thanks so much for watching today. We're going to be presenting some ideas about how players become collaborators with us in a live action role-playing game we designed called A Dance of Ribbons, which ran in Melbourne, Australia in 2023.
Dance of Ribbons is a 3-day LARP event in which people camp on site at a campsite not too far outside of Melbourne, Australia, and has been running for the last 2 years, with the third year being produced this year, finalising in November 2025. But we're talking today about our first Dance of Ribbons in 2023, which had around 80 players and 30 NPCs and GMs. And the LARP is a folk horror LARP, but as designers, we were interested in the importance of ritual and community, especially in a fantasy world. The major theorists we were using in order to create a sense of community was Bernie de Koven's concepts of the play community, in which he outlines how a community of play is enacted. And one of the specific areas we were interested in was how games change in order to suit their communities. Another area of interest that we were keen on pursuing was Steve Dixon's scales of interactivity, in which he outlines 4 different areas or 4 different scales of interactivity, ranging from least interactive, which is navigation, to most interactive, which is collaboration. And although Steve Dixon was focused on interactive cinema, we saw this as an interesting challenge as LARP designers to see if we could create a work of art which was necessarily incomplete so that an audience or a player base could complete it.
Informing our thinking as well was the work of Maury Brown and her thinking on safe community design, being a community designer, creating a container for a community to safely play through and enact world and setting. And we also think with Joanna Kollionen's work on bow-out mechanics, how do people consent to and then gracefully step out of play. We thought with theorists like de Koven and Dixon, Maury Brown and Collionen because we were curious to pursue a design that enthusiastically collapsed the distinction between player and spectator, between actor and audience in this LARP. In my work as an anthropologist and as an ethnographer of a game community over the last 6 years, what I've come to see is that role players aren't just attending events as an audience participating in the work of an artist who's hierarchically higher or like above them, but as people who participate in the enactment of the world. Without them, the setting, the game itself cannot exist. We wanted to really embrace in our design process the idea that our players were co-creators of the work with us. And we're going to talk a bit more about that today, demonstrating how that appeared or how that was demonstrated in the first Dance of Ribbons that we ran. As part of this process of inviting our players to be collaborators with us, we ran workshops in the lead up to our games, which invited role players to collaboratively world build with us, to collaboratively create characters with each other, as opposed to going home and writing long backstories that may not ever appear in the game. But most importantly, we ran these workshops to create connection amongst our community members, such that everyone would have a sense of who they were playing with and have already had a go at playing with one another, so they knew the kind of parameters of the play that they'd be engaging with at the weekend event.
So to demonstrate this process of collaborative making or collaborative working, we're going to focus on a specific thing that occurred that we're going to call the tapestry. The tapestry was a player offer in which two players came up to the design team and told us that not only could they weave and create string by hand using a medieval method, but also that they were able to turn that string into a tapestry. To give context to this, Dance of Ribbons operates off a string mechanic, in which strings are used to weave together to create moments of magic or change the world altogether. Having these players offer this means that we were able to work with them and collaborate from them to create new mechanics around strings, as well as offer them secret moments within the game that would allow a change of the game altogether based on their skills. As you can see here from the videos, we have one player weaving string from raw wool. Our players then were able to use a series of riddles that was designed by our writers, but also a song created by one of our NPCs as an offering for the mechanics team to then weave in various objects into the tapestry. The tapestry was woven over the course of the weekend, and the players who had offered to create the tapestry did not know that that would be a key part of a ritual that would end the weekend altogether. And the tapestry was not only woven by the people who were skilled enough to do it, but all the community had an input as to how the tapestry was done. The tapestry's objects were donated by players on the weekend, an emergent gameplay technique that we used, but also, in a strange manner, people's hairs were also woven into the tapestry as a sign of collaboration. The final ritual used the tapestry as a shield against a dark magic, and the tapestry was then kind of offered to the gods at the end of the game.
What this moment with the tapestry emphasizes to us is that our players, the players of this game, are not just audience members to action that is unfolding, nor are they just actors or just players playing through action that we as designers have prepared. The Larpers at Dance of Ribbons, they crafted stories before they came to play the game. They did that with us. They crafted the world, its cultures and its people. They materialized the world with the costumes that they made before they arrived. They materialized the world with us with the campsites that they erected on the scout camp in which we hosted the game. They were NPCs. They offered themselves as volunteers to help us do catering and organize where cars were going to be parked so that they weren't visible on the weekend. They were, in short, a community, and this game was the result of a community art practice. They co-created this with us.
From a design perspective, it was interesting to work collaboratively with our players as well. That often a designer is removed from players or is just serving players. When we found out that the people could weave string and make tapestries, that allowed us to create in combination and in collaboration with them. Our audience, actors, performers, players are also designers as well. And that process of design is not just a single top-down approach. That the potential is that players can come back to us and offer us unique and interesting perspectives that otherwise we don't have access to.
As we draw this presentation to a close, what we want to emphasize is that through our design process, somewhat emergently, we sought to empower our role players to, as some designer friends of ours say, be fans of the Larpers that were attending our game.
And we offer this as a perspective of practice as research, from designers creating Larps to seeing them into fruition. And we hope that this would provide a unique perspective in which we explore the potential of player base, not just as players or performers, but as a community as a whole.
Thanks for watching.